Nothing? First order under new business, Order 2009-02. To have a volunteer to read the order.
I'll read it, Mr. Chairman. Order 2009-02, an order relative to the licensing of a junkyard pursuant to RSA 236. First reading is tonight, second reading is whenever. Whereas Edward Dudek Jr., who resides at 36 Stratford Lane, Bedford, New Hampshire, and is the owner of Murray's Auto Recycling, 55 Hall Road, Londonderry, New Hampshire, desires a license to continued operations of said business. And whereas Edward Dudek Jr. has complied with the requirements of RSA 236 and other conditions of operating as set forth by the Town Council. And whereas the Londonderry Town Council, acting as the governing body of the town, has such licensing authority, and with approval of the Londonderry Building/Health Inspector, who has oversight authority, it appears that the public good so requires such a license be granted. It is therefore ordered by the Londonderry Town Council that Edward Dudek Jr., doing business as Murray's Auto Recycling, be granted a license to operate an auto recycling facility with the conditions as set forth in the attached agreement. So is moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second for discussion.
Seconded for discussion. Any discussion?
If we approve this tonight, is it adopted? Is that, or do we go to a second reading?
Council has an option to approve it tonight or to schedule a public hearing.
So we can do it either way the council chooses.
That's correct. Just for information, that the operator was found in violation by Darrett District Court twice over the last year. The first time a fine was imposed. The second time the judge, what did he do? Hold the fine, Frank?
He suspended.
Suspended the fine. Okay. It's just for the council's information.
So Frank, do you have anything to add?
Aesthetically and environmentally, it's become much more friendly. He's extended the fence as we asked him to do, previous licensing situation. I've received several complaints with regard to the facility. 2 were confirmed and appropriate enforcement action was taken. There were several other complaints unsubstantiated or directed to our attorney for interpretation. And I've made several visits there, probably no less than once a month, but probably more than that during a year.
So Dave, did we get any feedback from the town's attorney on any of these other? Frank alludes to there being some other complaints that were directed to the attorney.
Yeah, we did, every time we think there's a violation which is not clear as far as a use, we send it to our town attorney for their interpretation, in which they render back to us their position as to whether that particular act violated the junkyard statutes or not.
Okay. So we don't have any outstanding items?
Not currently, not that I'm aware of.
So is the applicant here? Does the applicant have anything to add? Please come up.
Ed Dudek and Attorney Bill Schuger on behalf of Murray's Auto Recycling. The issue that we'd like to bring to your attention tonight is to extend the hours so that the business can operate in a profitable manner. Right now, I think it's 8 to 5,
Yes.
Monday through Friday, and
Saturday.
8 to 12?
8 to 5 on Saturday.
8 to 5 on Saturday as well. There are certain licensing requirements that require minimum hours for the company to have a reseller's license, auto dealer's license. And we would ask permission in order to extend the hours and to perform various work during the company's off hours. I sent a letter to the town council on January 26th, bringing that to your attention. The type of off-hour work would be something that's not necessarily dealing with the public, but is more internal in nature, housekeeping, per se. At this time, Mr. Dudek is not allowed to do that under the license that he has.
Is there any comments or questions from the council on that?
Housekeeping, what do you mean by housekeeping?
Taking inventory, making sure that the site is functional and, operational during the business hours. What's happening now is that everything and anything that's done concerning anything with the business is restricted to the 8 to 5 hours. In many businesses, typically you need the time before and after to make sure that everything's in order, so that during the hours of operation, everything is orderly.
So housekeeping meaning just paperwork in his office?
No, not necessarily housekeeping in the office, but that would be one aspect of it. But also making sure that the grounds are kept up, so that when it is opened to the public, that that you're not doing the housekeeping. You're not, taking inventory, for example, during the course of the hours of operation. Other types of housekeeping.
Well, right now, it's like we have these restrictions that other people in town don't have, and it doesn't seem fair. I'm held under this microscope all the time, and I'm just trying to run my business. Sometimes I need to get there at 7 o'clock in the morning to meet up with somebody to do something, or maybe on a Sunday afternoon for somebody to get something out of the yard, but I'm not open for business. But sometimes I need to go on the property at other hours. And the way the license is read right now, I go to court every time Jerry calls the town up on me. And it just doesn't seem fair. I mean, everybody else in town that owns property, they can show up on their property whenever they want, except me. And I don't see how that's fair. And I'm not looking to be open for business. I just want to be able to go on my property whenever I want. Anybody else in the street, if they want to show up in there, go in their backyard and go in their garage and work on a car or something on a Sunday, they can do whatever they want. If they want to wash their car, anybody on the street, they can do whatever they want, except me.
And Mr. Dudek has complied with the 8 to 5 requirement and has not performed any type of operations outside of that 8 to 5 operations. Is that correct?
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
It's our understanding that the hours of operations, the way they're stated, which equates to 54 hours a week, is more than meets the minimum requirement of the state. So I don't understand what you're talking about there. In fact, it seems to be above the minimum requirement. So what is that all about?
In order to maintain the New Hampshire dealer's license, you have to be open for operation during those hours. But during those hours, if you're doing, as I mentioned earlier, the housekeeping, then you're not actually open for business. So Mr. Dudek would like the ability to, as I put in there, to take inventory, to do office work, to maintain the premises so that during those hours of operation, he can be in business to make sales.
Well, let me rephrase it. Your letter says that in order to comply with State of New Hampshire dealer license, he needs these additional hours. That's not our understanding. He's got 54 hours a week right now based on our contract. So my question is he not able to comply with State New Hampshire dealer license because he needs more than 54 hours a week to be open?
No.
So I don't understand that part of the letter, is what I'm saying.
In the letter, I asked that in order to comply, he needs a mandated minimum number of hours. I believe the 54 hours does meet the minimum mandated
Okay.
number of hours for operations, but my client would like to be able to, at 8 o'clock, be able to open the door and actually be functionally operational.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we established that we're not breaking any state law or stopping Mr. Dudek from meeting his license requirement within the hours that are in this contract.
Any other questions from the council? Comments?